Hey everybody, what's up? It's the Hardy Construction. You can find us on most social media outlets such as Google, YouTube, Instagram, and if you like us on YouTube, why don't you give us a big thumbs up? With your host Komp and
Head.
And as well as
Peanut.
Today's film is
It is Grave Encounters 2011.
Peanut is actually horrorharbor.tumblr.com, also known as Thea. And Peanuts, she's used that name before, so at least she's consistent.
Have you used it?
Look, probably.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm allergic to peanuts.
I got really thrown off by Alex's really peppy intro.
I bought 2 bags of peanuts right now, which is crazy. So it's not really, like literally.
You're 2 bags in?
Grave Encounters 2011. For their ghost hunting reality show, a production crew locks themselves inside an abandoned mental hospital that's supposedly haunted, and it might prove to be all too true. Directed by Colin Minihan, written by the Vicious Brothers.
They're the guys that wrote that. What the fuck? The one with
movie
the
I hated.
What
keeps you alive?
Keeps you
alive. That's it.
What keeps you alive and gay. Positive.
That was okay.
That was a very bad. That was a very bad look for gay women in that movie. Yes, was it? Yeah, it's pretty true. Also, so Stuart Ortiz, also part of the Vicious Brothers. When I hear names like that, when people call themselves that name, it reminds me of the Soska sisters. Although their name isn't as terrible.
Those
as
are the ones that did that.
Because at least that's their actual
American
name.
Mary. Okay, so it stars Ben Wilkinson, Sean Rogerson, Ashley Grisco. And why did you pick this film, Danny?
Because the doorman at one of the buildings that I walk dogs from.
Did he film it? Oh, okay.
No, he was just like, we were talking about horror, and he's like, oh, you should check that one out. And I was like,
hey, this movie's pretty cool. Hey, let me open this door for you. So this movie's about a couple of guys that see these fucking ghosts.
Absolutely not what he sounds like.
Okay, excuse me, sir. This movie.
No, that's closer. That's
okay,
closer.
Thank you. All right, so give us the rundown, your horrible rundown about this movie, Danny.
You want me to do it? Okay.
You picked the movie.
These guys trying to make a reality show, so they go to this
Adventures,
Ghost Adventure, whatever shit.
Not trying to. They've done 6.
They've made
5 episodes.
5 episodes.
This is the 6th.
Alex, pay attention. And they go to this museum, not museum, a mental institution that's been closed down.
You topped yourself at terrible, reconstruction.
Man,
of the story.
I'm distracted. They go to a mental institution, and there's ghosts there.
So essentially, this is an episode of wow. I've heard about this film. When did you first hear about this, Thea? This movie? A while ago, probably 2011, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I think I started seeing like GIFs and things around that time because there's obviously that.
There's that
GIF
infamous GIF. It's GIF,
it's GIF to me.
There's that infamous GIF of the girl at it's like a green GIF of a girl turning around
where
and
her
face
maw opens.
Mutating. Yeah, that's wide. Basically that one's like the first like horror GIF I remember.
I think that
really.
kind of stuff's kind of dumb.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
Well, yeah, I avoided this movie from the beginning because I never really liked found footage, and this was essentially probably not the most famous, but this is a very prominent found footage film.
Which came out, Paranormal or this first?
We're at the same time, maybe.
I think Paranormal was first.
Probably 2004, maybe. I'm sure. Yeah.
I feel like
Paranormal
was 9.
Could be
2007. There we go.
Okay. So yeah, this is definitely bandwagon, and this also ripped off one particular film with 2 explicit things in it that I spoke to Danny about.
Yeah, it did.
The House on Haunted Hill. This rips that movie off so bad it's not even funny.
Oh yeah, with like the doctor and thing.
Yeah. So there's
like
2 things.
Shot for shot scene.
The explanation of this film, when they're first going around. First of all, it's this guy named Ben Wilkinson who's playing Jerry Hartfield. So I think he could be a good actor, but I'm not sure.
Do you think the ghosts saw that movie and they were reenacting?
Maybe that's what it was. But what they ripped off of House on Haunted Hill, when they're explaining the insane asylum, the shutdown insane asylum that they're at, that they're saying that it was run by a Dr. Arthur Friedkin, who was running these what is that experiment? Lobotomy. And that a couple of patients killed him and his people, or unless they just killed him, I'm not sure. I'm sure they killed him and a couple of people, just like House on Haunted Hill. And then, towards the end of the film, they wholesale lift a visual right out of House on Haunted Hill with what was her name? Veronica Vaughn. Go ahead, Danny, say it.
Veronica Vaughn. She has one hot piece of ass.
I know a guy who was with her, and they got it on. Remember that?
They
one?
got
Anyway,
it on.
so there's a scene with Veronica Vaughn in that's not the actress's real name, in House on
Or
Haunted Hill.
Sonya Blade.
She's walking around. Oh, yeah, that's right. She was walking around this empty area in this like insane asylum. That's also a shut down insane asylum in House on Haunted Hill. She's lifting her camera up, and she's looking at her camera, and there's nothing there in front of her. She lifts it up, and you see a doctor with two nurses over somebody on a table, and then they slowly look back. So when I'm watching this movie and that exact scene happens, I'm like, holy fuck, like they just didn't even care. Like, I guess you can't sue for ripping off scenes, but that was like super blatant, and it bugged the shit out of me. Another thing that bugged me about this film is that, we'll get into what the story is, or with my finger quotes. This is I told this to Danny, this is the 6th episode of their show, right?
Oh yeah, this is a pretty big writing flaw.
And then then they take a whole sequence to explain the equipment that they're using. Wasn't there 5 episodes before that? You can fucking explain what this is. Like the first episode, you can say what you're using. And plus, also, I don't know how they explain that. Is this show being shot in real time that they can edit hours and hours of footage and then just have one episode out? It takes months.
Doesn't he say that?
For
Doesn't he
like
say that
this.
off the top? That it's just like they've loosely cut together whatever the footage
you're right.
they got back.
Well, no, that's after these people are dead.
Right.
Yeah, but this is in time that they've already released 5 episodes by this time this episode is out. So I'm not sure. I don't know. It's still a production. Like if you work in production, it drives you nuts. So anybody else watching this movie got entertained by it probably doesn't give a
Alex
fuck.
is a pedantic little cunt.
So Thea, list out what this movie's about. You're the smart
List
one.
it
You're here.
out.
Explain what's going on in this movie that you think, why they made this movie in the first place at all.
They made this movie in the first place because it was cheap to make, and it's
definitely
they did it in the style of a paranormal reality television program, which is easy to emulate.
There is show. I don't know if do you guys watch any of those paranormal shows?
I've seen some of them, but I don't regularly
I watched
any.
one once. I don't remember which one. It was so stupid. Like as soon as they finally got to the thing, all of a sudden all the cameras went off and everybody screamed.
Yeah, these people
like,
tend to find
paranormal
paranormal evidence every episode. And I'm like,
everything.
if that was true, because they like dust particles fly in the air and they call that orbs or something like that.
Right.
My favorite one actually is a show called Ghost Adventures because it's just like a couple of bros looking for ghosts, and that's great. But then there's other shows with this one. There's
Did
this
they
one
ever
show.
find them?
I'm sure they did, but there's this one show called it's called Dead something, whatever, and it's this woman who's a psychic and she can see ghosts. Supposedly, she's looking around and she gathers her information, and then on the other side, there's like this old fat Italian ex-cop, and he finds out information of the place, and then they meet together, and then they sort of figure out, if she knows everything that she's talking about, right?
Oh, so he's like fact-checking?
Right, he's fact-checking, so at the end, she'll say, this happened here, and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe she's actually telling the truth over here. Like, he really talks like that, because he's like, holy shit, this fucking what the fuck out of here.
So he's like John Travolta crossed with like somebody who's been smashed in the head.
That did sound very Travolta.
So, anyway.
Travolta after a coma.
So there's a group of 5 people in this. There's Ben Wilkinson playing Jerry Hartfield. There's Sean Rogerson playing Lance Preston. Jerry's the lead investigator. Lance, I believe, he's like the PA guy, not PA guy.
No. Jerry's the guy you see at the top. He's like the guy that's like, we found this footage. Lance is the host.
Yeah, I'm looking at the IMDb. So Lance is the post guy. Ashley is the scared girl. TC is the hysterical black man. They changed it from a hysterical black woman to a black man.
That's right.
Juan Reidinger is Matt White. Okay, so I don't know. He had a Spanish name.
He's the patient man.
He's the patient man. There's I'm just gonna go.
Are any of these people known from anything besides this movie?
Negative.
The psychic guy is the only one that's been getting more consistent work than everybody, and I think the girl who played Sasha, it drove me nuts how the main guy called her Sosha. Like he was just fucking her name up. She's like a fiction writer, so she writes flash fiction. So that's interesting. I always look at this because I've heard about this movie for such a long time, and people say it's the greatest thing ever. And
I think the trailer was like a crazy viral thing.
Could be. I mean that
people really liked it when it came out, but it's hard to remember like the context of when it came out. I'm sure maybe it was a little more impressive than it is now.
Yeah, it probably wasn't completely done to death at that point.
Yeah,
like I've seen the image of that girl in the
So
green
many
room
times.
turning around so many times. It's like, you know, okay. Once that scene came up, it was like Pavlov's dog. Like I was like, oh, this is coming up right now.
Right.
Even though I hadn't seen the film, I've only seen maybe 5 minutes in the past of it, and it was just like that wide shot of them in the living room or the waiting room, and I was like, I don't want to watch this. Like, there's no real like. There's nothing really compelling me to watch.
Although
this.
I do get like a weak spot for like certain types of scares. Oh. Well, that too.
What type of scares?
Like certain jump scares in ghost movies. Actually, like even though I know it's going to happen, it still always kind of freaks me out and scares me.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little. Look at
I will say this.
Cat.
The first 15 minutes of the film, I actually enjoyed it. I like the setup more than the. I didn't hate this film.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I didn't hate this
film.
Yeah, I
like
actually,
what frauds they are. It's nice.
I really enjoyed the beginning of the film. I like that part where they find the groundskeeper, and like that was funny. Like there was actual funny stuff in the beginning of the film, and there is some interesting stuff that they do in the film that has to deal with like temporal dislocation and stuff like that. Just like.
Yeah, but they didn't really like.
No, not really. That's
explain it well enough for it to be cool.
They didn't have enough money to explain that.
You ever see that movie Contact? I don't want to ruin Contact for people, but
where she finds her father in outer space and it's not aliens. Is that what you're talking about?
Blah blah blah. But then at the end, they're like, "You were gone for only a minute," but then her clock reads that she was gone for like 4 days or something.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah.
And did she have a big hard clock?
She does.
Did she slap people in the face with her clock?
She does.
Oh,
thank you. That's funny. I'm funny tonight. What were things that worked for you with this, Thea?
Could have made black hole jokes. Sorry,
I think they
just had to push it.
Had to. I think they started with a good conceit, like the idea of doing a paranormal TV show and spoofing that in a way was not a bad place to start.
Had it been done before with this type of film?
I don't.
Besides Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, no, I think
Blair Witch Project.
I mean, Blair Witch was like they did it under the guise of like a student project or something.
Yeah, all three of those are basically doing the same thing,
all doing the same
but they're in different sort of facets of paranormal investigation, which is very interesting because you'd figure they'd all do this. You know, they even have their own Josh moment in this film when they're looking for Matt. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're like Matt.
Is that the guy that jumps down the well or the ladder?
Yeah.
That's right.
And but the thing is, to me, in since I had never seen a film like Blair Witch, you know, when you first see it, although people who've seen Cannibal Holocaust can be like, yeah, I've seen this type of movie before. Yes, I'm telling you, at the time when I saw it, because I hadn't seen a movie like that, it was way more effective.
I'm spanking your buttocks.
Like the part where Matt, and they're looking for Matt, like there was nothing like seeing that film for the first time in theaters, and especially when Matt, you know, I'd never felt a sense of dread like in watching a movie like when they find that house in the middle of nowhere in the Blair Witch.
Yeah.
And you know the part where you hear children, you know, laughing or talking in the background when there's not supposed to be anybody out there. That kind of stuff, like you don't really see that in here, and that's the sort of thing with found footage. There's about so much you can do with found footage horror film. And we've seen a bunch of good horror films that are found footage.
Most of the ones we've seen are good.
We've seen mostly the good ones.
What always astounds me is that no matter what happens to these people and their cameras, they never let go of the camera, and when they do, it always lands in a way that it continues showing the scene and doesn't break.
Yeah. Most hated character for you guys in this film?
That girl was really annoying.
I understood TC, but he just got annoying after a while because he was like, there was just something very phony about like the way he acted in the film to me. Like he was pissed, I understood that, but then after a while, it was like, all right, I get it. No, but then again, you know, I'm sure the three of us would probably be freaking out.
No, I found that girl to be really annoying because she was just so scared of everything.
Oh, they just had her scream at every single possible thing.
Yeah,
which is fine. That I guess.
Like I feel like if you already know there's ghosts everywhere, I would be scared. I'd be like shitting my pants. But like, you can't keep screaming with each new thing. It's like you gotta like face it now.
I hate when people overdo the scream reaction, where it's just like, okay, you wouldn't scream every single time. Like you just like you run out of breath, and you also
and your throat hurts.
Imagine you like
when
somebody.
You're really scared. You don't. Sometimes you don't make a noise at all. You just like panic.
There's like people who like tying their sneakers and they're like, oh, like they're just scared out of everything.
But that host guy and his selfie cams were really. Just
I don't know what to feel about that lead character, because I feel like, I think he's acting and not really like acting genuine in the film. Like,
right.
I liked him.
He reminded me of that guy Jack Vale. Why? What was wrong with him in the last part?
I feel like as it kept going on, it got more like the script just got weaker and weaker. Like, I really liked the first half of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Not that I really liked it. I recognize that I've seen a movie like it a million times, but I appreciate it. It was decent.
I don't think it's a complete waste of time. This movie, that'd be an insult to the movie itself, because it's sort of okay if you're with a group of people and it's started playing in the background and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's decent.
But it's just that we've seen so many of these,
these battle-hardened
nerds,
horror nerds.
Yeah,
sure, but it also doesn't really bring anything new, unexpected. Yeah,
even
maybe at that point it did. I can't go back in time. I don't know.
Yeah, for the time it was, I'm sure people thought, wow, this is fucking great, because it came out in 2011. Then I'm sure people said, oh, this is a more hardcore version of Paranormal Activity. But there's not really much going on. And one thing that really bugs me when they have old footage in movies, the budget really showed. When they're showing the old footage of the lunatic asylum,
right,
and it's all white people in their mid-20s, because they couldn't cast older people, so it was probably all their friends.
Yeah, they didn't bother casting background.
Yeah, and it was just
grab
really,
a bunch of randos.
It was really poorly shot, because obviously that footage was based on this real news report about I forget what it was called, but it was not parodied, but it was duplicated in American Horror Story.
Arkham.
Asylum. Is that what it was? Asylum? Were you gonna say Arkham?
Oh no, not Arkham. Duh.
Yeah, and
I'm doing H.P. Lovecraft. Never mind.
So that woman dressed up as Batman. So
that's what that's named after.
So that's based on a true story. And I forgot who was the reporter on it. I could have sworn it was Geraldo or something, but I could be wrong.
It was Geraldo. Yeah.
It was
Geraldo
Rivera.
Yeah. So did they get punched in the face? I love that.
Yeah, with a toilet pan. But for some reason that aspect really took me out of it. Obviously the whole fucking movie with ghosts takes me out of it.
Do you remember when Geraldo got caught making fake helicopter sound effects and pretending he was in the Iraq War, but he was nowhere near?
Did he do that?
Yeah,
you're thinking of somebody else.
No, I'm pretty sure it was him. And then, right after, he got fired, and then ended up getting hired immediately by.
No, you're talking about somebody else.
Are you sure?
That's the father of the girl from Get Out. What the hell is that actress's name? She's in that movie The Perfection now. He got in trouble for bullshitting a bunch of. There's a lot of news report of that bullshit.
No, but they pretended they were in a battle.
Was it Matt Lauer? No,
not Matt Lauer. It was the other guy, the father of the girl from The Perfection, or I forget, Allison something. What's her name? Allison. Her father was a big fucking NBC correspondent.
In any case, I found it very funny.
Get out.
This is great. Yeah, her name is Allison something. What's her name? Allison what?
Allison something. I know her.
Williams, and her father was something Williams, Greg Williams or Matt Williams or some shit like that. And yeah, he was bullshitting. But the thing that Geraldo did once was he was on a live
Ryan Williams.
Geraldo was on a live news report in Iraq. And or Afghanistan, and he basically gave away the location with drawing a map on the sand of where his company was, and they said they were "Get the fuck out of here, Geraldo, you idiot!" And so they kicked him out. That was pretty funny. Back to this, very similar. What was the worst aspect of this movie for you? Was it just that it was repetitive, or what?
No, you go, Thea. You talk.
I think there are a lot of segments. It's too many repeated beats. There are too many repeated, we're waiting for a while, and then we do the selfie cam for a little bit, and then we're running from something, and then we're talking about how much time has passed.
When TC's thrown down the stairs, all that shit. Right. It was just
they do it too many times. It's just, there isn't really a build. It's just kind of peaks and valleys of there's something happening, and then there's nothing happening, and there's something happening, and then there's nothing.
I think the real reason why people liked this film the time it came out is because Paranormal Activity, they wanted to see something super exciting, and this is sort of more exciting than Paranormal Activity is. I was bored out of my mind when I saw that fucking movie. Danny loved it. It was the greatest movie ever.
I did not love it.
And then
you say
this one actually has this one has demons running around. It has time displacement. It has all that bullshit.
Demons, they're ghosts.
It's sort of like
there are some more ideas in it, but none of them are executed.
I do like that fake fraud guy and how he got all bitchy and scared.
But even if the writing had been better, I think maybe it might have helped them. You know?
Yeah, because I mean, you're solely focused on the lead guy, and I don't give a fuck about him really.
No,
there was nobody in the house that I liked the fake psychic, Houston Gray.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
He was funny. Yeah, you know what I mean. I enjoyed him, and I wish there was more of him. But he obviously the way he died was like pretty cool. Like it was pretty brutal the way he got taken out because it was like cartoonish. But other than that, there was nothing really like I didn't give a shit about TC. They obviously try to make TC an asshole, so you like.
It would have been cool if the wheelchair like caught one of them up in its seat and then like threw them down the stairs or something.
Go ahead, Danny. Do the devil's chair.
Nick, don't go in there. It's suicide.
Thea, there was a movie called The Devil's Chair. It was like a British horror movie, and the whole conceit of that movie is you sit on this chair and you go to hell. So people actively had to sit on this chair that looked evil, and they go to hell.
It's like
the chair's covered in blood and
it's
everything,
so
and people
dumb.
would still sit on it. And there was a crazy professor warning the guy not to, and he did it in that voice. It was really bad. It was
that makes me want to see it though.
No, you should.
You should. You should. I think you should because
I mean everything you're saying.
the thing about The Devil's Chair too is that it's narrated like a Guy Ritchie film because it's a British film.
Like it tries to be like a Guy
So
Ritchie
the movie
film.
will pause, and the guy says, "I was just hanging out with me blokes and all," and he's like voiceover like a Guy Ritchie movie. You've got to watch it.
It's really bad.
But anyway, yeah, I don't think there's
I
much.
think I really hit the impersonation of that old
I
man.
think it was
in
great.
It was
I
beautiful.
think I don't think there's much we can really speak about this film because it's just super derivative.
Would you
but
say
you know
that
what?
this film could be a lame encounter?
I can't do my original joke. But I think that there's, they came up with 2 sequels. So I heard that the second movie was abysmal.
Yeah, me and Thea were
terrible.
joking about it beforehand. So Thea, what were we saying exactly? What would it even be about?
Well, there's a third one apparently that I don't think is out yet. But they've teased as being the beginning.
But the beginning.
Oh, there's a third
what?
movie? It hasn't come out yet, the third movie.
No, they
I saw the
talked
poster
about
for it,
making
okay.
it, basically.
Oh, brother.
So it's gonna be like
The beginning of what?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or something. Like, what is it gonna be?
Yeah, well, or just like American Horror Story Asylum. It's gonna be that, I guess.
So there's no ghosts.
But no ghosts.
It's interesting that these I do like the idea that these sort of homemade do-it-yourself movies are, popular enough to get sequels, but they're like the worst ones. Like this one.
It's like
what was that?
It's like
Danny, remember that? What was that? Chrome Skull? What the fuck was that movie?
Jesus.
That was bad.
I've only seen
Laid to
pictures
Rest.
of that movie.
Laid to Rest has fantastic effects. It has
really cool villain.
It has Lena Headey in it, and also because the director of it was the one who did the special effects for the Terminator show. So it has Lena Headey and it has the guy.
Was that good? Is she good in that?
Lena Headey? Yeah, she's good. She's hot and she's
Is
good.
she like
She's
Sarah
always
Connor?
good.
She sleepwalks in it. She's in the movie for like 10 minutes, and but it's
Called Laid to Rest.
It's really
so
stupid.
bad.
Don't even.
The
bother.
second one is even worse. You should. Well, you know what it is.
Nah,
Here's the thing
honestly,
with that
there's
movie.
this girl in it. You just made me remember it. There's this. The whole movie is like this girl who's just so annoyingly
who was married
helpless
to the guy who directed and wrote it. She produced it, so she was the star of it.
And it's like,
and she
don't
has
put yourself
the
in your
worst-
movie just because you want to be in it. You're not a good actress.
It's
like,
obviously
it's
the movie was
terrible.
the movie was a vehicle for her, but she has the worst lines because the character must have had brain damage or something. But she's the worst.
She was acting like a 5-year-old, basically. She was like,
There's a-
where are we? Like,
There's a
like, this
channel.
type of shit.
There's a channel Thea called on YouTube. I don't really watch like YouTube reviewers of movies, like horror movies, because we do it. So I don't, who cares? But there's a guy named Horrible Reviews. I think he's like a Dutch or Italian guy, and just watch his review of that movie. And that
I
like
wanna hear his
succinctly
accent.
says because there's a part where the girl's in the car. She wakes up at a mortuary, at a funeral home. And
Yeah,
she
in a
goes-
coffin, right?
Yeah, in a coffin, and one of her lines is like, "I woke up in this place with the dead people."
Oh,
It's like,
God,
what the fuck? It's so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
But
yeah.
then,
She's trying to describe where she is, but she's saying everything except where she is.
so that movie had
there were boxes.
that movie
and
had
there
a
were dead
sequel.
people.
What was that movie that we saw about the bowling alley? Thea cannot watch that one
The
that
bowling alley.
It's
Yeah, that one was
called-
really stupid too.
it's called Gutter Balls, but you cannot watch it because it has an extended, for some reason, rape sequence in the opening of the film.
course
It's
it
10
does.
minutes. This guy rapes a lady with a fucking bowling
What's
pin.
the name of that website you use, by the way, for people who don't want to see rape stuff?
It's called Unconsenting Media.
Okay. I feel like we should mention that.
But that bowling pin movie also had good effects. But for some reason, these movies like the Les Terrestres had torture porn of like women in it. For some reason, like I feel like a lot of makeup people have problems against women or something. Like I'm not like running.
Well, you know what? Better that they make horror movies than go out and actually kill women.
That's true. But that's for the weirdos. But that's for the weirdos that watch it so they can watch. I don't care. Listen, I'm not some guy who says you can't do this because you kill women. I don't give a fuck.
You know what?
About men
When I was in Prague, there was like an article that apparently there's like a hyper-realistic latex woman in the brothels that you could fuck. You know, like it's like a blow-up doll, except it's like latex and like very realistic.
They shut some down here.
They shut them down. There was a whole controversy because they were saying
mean because it looked like a kid or something?
No.
No,
It was a grown woman body, but they were saying it was like rape.
Oh, huh?
And like they were trying to say it like promotes rape and shit. Like it was like so bizarre because
really
it's like
weird.
I know I saw something in the newspaper where they I like that we just totally talked off of the movie. I don't give a shit about it. We'll be done in this in about 10 minutes. This is more interesting than the movie. But there was something in the news about they made a doll that's like out of this country somewhere else, I guess like Europe or something, where it's like it looks like a 12-year-old girl, and they're trying to sell that to like pedophiles so they don't molest kids, and it's just like, oh my god, they should like put bombs inside those shits.
I don't think that's good, but it's better than molesting kids.
That's true.
Yeah,
Danny's order's coming in soon.
I don't know. Because the shipping is so expensive from Europe.
It's true.
Yeah, you know this country's fucked. Anyway, but it's nice that they make movies like that coming out. But Gutterball. Oh, this funny thing about Gutterballs, which says that movie has a scene where like there's a guy I guess having sex with a woman, but the actor is extremely gay and he can't hide it. And he's like having sex with the woman. He goes, "Yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, you're the best." And I was like, "What the fuck?"
Wow.
It's worth watching it if you just don't watch those first 10 minutes.
I just remember like
and the
a
thing
lot
is,
of stupid random things.
They had a Kickstarter for a sequel, and I'm waiting to see the sequel because the gore was good in the first one. The movie's horrible, but the guy.
Why can't they take all these special effects people and give them a script?
It was one of those Kickstarters where they reached a goal and the movie never came out. So
that's
not I know. Look. That's a bad.
Because then the director's girlfriend said, "Oh, the director was in the hospital for something," and I see
make it after.
And he's a special effects guy, so you see his IMDb constantly updated. So it's like, oh shit, this guy is bullshitting.
Yeah, he was doing it from the hospital bed.
But I don't know. It's nice that I don't care about seeing Grave Encounters 2, Grave Encounters 3.
No, we're gonna have to see all of them.
I'm a little curious.
We're gonna see Grave Encounters 4, 5, and 6.
You know?
But what
you
really
killed off the entire team.
Do you know after Grave Encounters 3, which is the beginning, there'll be a Grave Encounters 4, and it'll be like the real beginning.
It'll be like back in time. Here's a lamp.
And Grave Encounters 5 is the doctor just doing his job. Like
yeah, right. It's before the doctor went ballistic. It's like Breaking Bad, but with a doctor.
Have you guys done all those terrible Amityville sequels? Because Jesus,
no. We have not done any Amityville film.
No,
if
you
know Amityville is right near where I grew up, though.
Thea, funny story. We saw when I lived in Long Island for a while. We took a ride up Long Island, and we went at night, and we went to see the house, and it looked nothing like in the movie.
Yeah, it's just a house.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, it's spooky. I mean, like obviously the place was not really haunted.
No,
that guy was an asshole. He killed his whole fucking family with his sister, or he said that his sister helped.
I mean, we all do things like that sometimes.
Look, we all do things that we blame other things on.
The photo of the ghost child was like the kid of one of the investigators that night. There was no green talking pigs and shit. The idea is great, but I've never really. I think I've only seen the Amityville with Ryan Reynolds. I think I saw that. I'm not sure. I might have seen parts of it.
Have you not seen the original?
I don't think I've seen any Amityville film. If you put it up to us, Thea, like if you want to,
I think we should go there.
If
one
you
want
to do an Amityville month,
the first one,
the original. I liked the original. I won't say it's one of the best movies of all time, but it is good for the era, I think.
It has that hunk John Brolin. Was it Josh Brolin?
That's right.
Josh Brolin.
Whatever, whichever one it was.
Which one is
he, like 5 at this point?
I don't know.
He's face deep in that Who the hell's that lady?
Is he
I don't know.
Thanos?
The big nose, the singer.
Is Josh Brolin Thanos? Or am I stupid?
No, it's his dad. It's one of those. Like, what is this episode about?
Alright.
Anyway,
Alright, anyway, yeah,
if you want to make us do an Amityville month, go ahead, because I know there's there's
well,
one with Bella
we
Thorne
need
in
more
it
than
that
a
just
month.
came
You know
out,
how
right?
many of those movies there are?
I know
There's
there's
a lot.
one with Bella Thorne that just came out, right? And she's
They're
famous for
very bad.
like showing her underwear. So
There's some crazy ridiculous shit in there. Like there's one that's called It's About Time, about a clock. There's one about a lamp. There's one about
a lamp.
I don't even a mirror. It's insane.
oh, so they're finding
truly
are they just
insane.
going through every piece in the house
They
and
start
haunting
with
it?
they
Like,
st-
this
yeah
is
they
about
start
the
with the
couch
house
in
and then
Amityville.
they're like oh this clock came from that house so now this different house is haunted. So
Oh,
it's-
that's stupid.
it's
This
insane.
tea kettle is evil.
Truly.
Oh God!
This
forget
tea
that.
kettle was there on the day that the murders happened, and it picked
That's
up some
right.
of the essence.
That's all those shits. Anyway, so that I like this episode now because we didn't talk about the movie. What
right.
rating would you give this movie, Thea?
Oh God, it's not very good. It's hard because I'm watching it with the context of like all those other movies. So I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay, yeah, you're about right.
I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Men with no tongue because they just ripped it out because they didn't feel like talking anymore because that guy talks too much.
I would say I would give this movie a 5 out of 5 because the first half hour I think is actually decent. And there's some interesting
That's fair.
ideas in it, but it sort of falls apart. But whatever, it is what it is for the time that it came out. We're watching it 2019, before we was 2011, 8 years old. I'll go to 5 out of 10. That one thing, that
What?
sequence with the arms coming out of the ceiling, wasn't that exactly like that other? Wasn't there like a viral video of this? I swear to God, people are so stupid. When I go on YouTube, there's like these videos. I watch all that stupid shit anyway, so I guess I'm an idiot. But I watch stuff
Well, you
like
are.
like all these videos of haunted house videos and stuff, and they're like they do a list of like this fucking hospital's haunted, and here's a video of a chair falling down the stairs, whatever. And there was this viral video. They're really trying to sell people. Look at this video of fucking hands coming out of the walls, just like in this movie. And I'm like, who can literally look at that and be like, yeah, that happened for real? All these giant black hands coming out of a fucking ceiling and shit. And like, does somebody sit there and like, somebody in India must think America's the most haunted fucking area in the world. Like they're like, oh,
It is.
scared. Like,
They
it's
see all
so
these
bad.
movies and they think that it's all real.
Anyway, I give it a 5 out of 10. Disembodied hands reaching for you as you try to make it out of there. That wasn't a very good one. But go ahead, Danny.
I give this a 6. And I was hoping you'd say a 6 too, because then we'd get a 666, and that would be pretty cool.
Damn it, Alex.
If we had done that. Oh well.
This movie's not that good. Go ahead.
I'm
You're
gonna
right.
give it a 6 out
Maybe
of
another time.
out
We'll
of
find
10.
another mediocre movie.
One day.
6
No, you know
out,
what?
6 out of 10.
What is this show?
Standing
know anymore.
at a ladder, and then just like
You still like doing this, right, Thea?
doing like a little FaceTime down the ladder.
For some reason, you and I saved Thea's life in the 1500s, so that's why she has to keep doing this stupid
This
show.
is her curse.
I'm
She
stuck
keeps
in a
getting
loop.
reincarnated with different versions of us, and we
We'll have
don't
to have
know it,
two
but
stupid
she's aware
fucking
of it.
retard. Yeah,
She has
right?
the memory of
Oh,
each
Jesus.
reincarnation, but we don't, and she keeps finding us and doing this different versions of this show
It's
with us.
Haunting you.
It's like Xena, but not the
We used
adventure.
to, back in the
Jesus.
1800s, we used to review like novels, and now we review this.
We're all like powdered our faces and stuff, and Thea has that giant wig on her head.
we couldn't
and we're
actually
like-
read. We were just looking at the covers.
All right, very good. What was your rating, Danny? 6 out of what?
666 out of 10, falling down a ladder.
And with that, Thea, what's the final word?
Experience.
Danny, what's the final word?
Photos.
The horror deconstruction.